I've always wanted to dedicate a video to talk about how to develop a concept and allowing it to come to life while continuously being, living, and creating on a daily basis. Creative block is not really a problem to overcome, to beat, or to avoid. In fact, I might go as far as to say that it doesn't even exist. It only exists if you're losing your patience for a deadline, that you have to come up with some kind of creative idea for a project. If you feel stuck with a photo series that you're working on, a film, a book that you're writing, a design project, I hope that this video will kind of guide you and help you in a way that you better understand your creative brain, how it works, and how I believe that creative block doesn't exist at all, but you just have to live with the flow of being a creative being. If you are a creative practicing some form of medium, let's say you are a photographer, a filmmaker, a dancer, or a writer, you know that it's almost impossible to constantly come up with fresh new creative ideas every single day. I mean, that would be pretty tiring for the brain. But it is possible every now and then, once a week, once a month, or maybe once a year, to come up with a very good idea. A good idea comes in many forms. It can come instantly. It can come over time. It can also come instantly, but then you might have to redevelop and improve, and so at the end it still takes time. So even at a conceptual stage without form, the time taken for it to come through shouldn't necessarily be called a creative block. To me, it's almost like it is impossible to have any kind of idea to come to life if you think of it as a creative block. Waiting patiently is one way to deal with it, but it's freaking hard. And I know that because living in a city like Hong Kong, being so busy, there's so much distractions, everything is at arm's reach, it's even harder. So rather than talk about creative block, which is something that I don't believe to exist, I've always wanted to dedicate a video to talk about how to develop a concept and allowing it to come to life while continuously being, living, and creating on a daily basis. And that is why I wanted to title this video as To Live with Creative Block. So since we're out here in the wild, let's just say that I have to do a project. Think of a creative idea about this place, this location, this mountain perhaps. How would I develop a particular concept to go about creating something to do with this place? Creative people comes in many types, and you will never know what type of person you are until you have been working creatively for a period of time. And sometimes there are projects where also it demands us to approach it in a particular way creatively. So it kind of is like matchmaking in a way. What I want to share is something that I felt quite precious about, that I picked up on from a tutor back when I was still studying in Glasgow, UK, who really helped me to understand how to approach an idea and allowing it to take shape. So again, we're going to use this place and put this into perspective to look at 3 different approaches. So for the first type of approach is what I would call a result-oriented approach. This is something that maybe a lot of you can relate to. For anyone who already know their end result, how they want to achieve, all they have to do is to execute the work. If I have an idea of what to do about this place, to tell the story about this location, all I have to do is to gather my materials, the information, any kind of sketches, drawings, any kind of maps, photos to take, and gather them, bring them home into the studio and start making the work. I know exactly how I want to do it. There's certain clarity and I can move fast. and I can move precisely to make something quite perfect. Now, this is great when you have certain expectations for yourself and also from others. Other stakeholders or people that are expecting you to deliver a particular form or shape or a particular level of work. So you can kind of manage their expectations. But it leaves very little room for error, deviation from the set direction that you already have. You basically shut off your instinct for happy accidents in a way. The second approach is what I would call the process-oriented. This is very similar to the first approach where we have an end goal, but the goal doesn't have any shape or form. It is more like a framework. So let's say if we still want to do something about this place, I would do some research about the history and the location. I would come and take some photos and videos, sound recordings, do some sketches, pick up some objects and bring them home. When I go home in the studio, I will start to draw connections between each things and see how the story builds up and goes through between these materials, and how to really execute the work in a way that goes along with the initial plan, aka the purpose, original purpose in mind. It all sounds very scientific when you go back because you're trying to do some tests, you're drawing connections, you might have data. But it's not that scientific. If you think about, for a painter who wants to do a really large painting, they would have to do some studies, right? Do a test, do a smaller painting, do some sketches for different figures, for the leaves, patterns. For a photographer, you want to do location scouting. You want to location scout in a particular time that you want to achieve that particular look, and then go back and review your shots, plan ahead. There might be things that you want to improve, change, add, so that the workflow on that particular day when you do the shoot with everyone, your team, the models, whatever, you know what to expect. Even though there are many things that is unpredictable, you have predicted most of it. So it's all very applicable to any forms of art, I think. But the third type of approach, so if I were to create something about this mountain, all I need to do is to do exactly what I'm doing now, to be here and spend time. You could also be spending time with a person or an object. You be in a place where you need to be for your intention, because you wanted to do something about it, but you don't know what and how and when. Whichever things, person or place you have interest in, you care about, be in the presence of it, feel it, use materials from it, develop ideas from that particular location without agenda. So you have to be extra sensitive to your intention of why you are being here, the original purpose that drove you to do something about this place. And even though you're being purposeful about your time, don't be discouraged that you didn't experience any moment of sparks out of it. So the easiest example for me is to share my whole journey into creating this whole YouTube channel. I have never thought of ever touching the upload button on the interface of YouTube whatsoever. It was the most remote thing to me. And this whole journey has been phenomenal. I mean, the subscribers out there, I have to thank all of you, whoever has given me feedback, positive comments, constructive feedback, really keep moving me forward, pushing me to constantly upload quality contents. Using this whole journey as an example in a way is that when I was all kind of immersed into this virtual space during COVID, I was really just observing, learning to see what people are talking about, to see and understand the dialogue about the whole photo community, the skills that has been shared, the techniques, the ideas. So I was really soaking it in, and it naturally came to my senses about what is really missing on the platform. And slowly to realize how my hybrid background in art and photography has really become a calling for a mission to fill that gap between the artistic and the craft. There is a fourth type of approach, and it is simply a combination of them all. Life flows and moves around, And eventually, as creatives, we will stop or be stopped by something and think to ourselves, I need to do something about it. For some people, one approach may work better than the other. And for some projects, they might benefit from a particular approach, a specific one. Whichever it may be, I hope this video really helps you to find new insights into understanding how your creative brain works and how you can work with the flow of the project, the flow of life, the flow of your creative brain and how it works, and really help you to really overcome whatever creative hurdles that you're facing. And by the way, these videos takes a lot of time to make. If you have made this far and enjoying the content, finding value in this, help me out and smash like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell notification so you will get all the new contents coming up. For all you subscribers out there who have been following this channel, I want to thank you for your support. A little sneak peek on what's coming up next is that I will be dedicating a few new videos, flipping the coin around for visual language and photography, and talk about art principles that are triggered by certain camera functions at hand. I think that will be very interesting for a lot of people. For all who are new to this channel, be sure to check out that series on visual language and photography, which had already helped a lot of people to rekindle the passion for this art form and also to really elevate their work and understanding of art principles. So be sure to check it out. I will see you in that next video. And I think I still got work to do, so I'll see you over there.